All right. Breshis, we are beginning the year by learning about the beginning of the creation. If we learn in the Bible, God created the world. And it says in detail how He created the world. And so it starts off like this. The Jewish Bible starts off that God created the world in 6 days. Breshis bora Elokim es hashamayim v'ha'aretz. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. What does it mean He created the heavens and the earth? Perush HaPashut, the simple meaning is, B'tchila, that in the beginning of the creation of the world, Haya Hashamayim v'aretz, there was the heavens and the earth. And when it says V'et Hashamayim, this includes Et Hatzava Hashamayim, everything in the heavens. It doesn't say Breshis Bora Elokim Shamayim v'aretz. It says Et Hashamayim v'aretz. And this includes all of the first. In the beginning, God created all of the hosts of the heavens. All the stars, the galaxies, the nebulae, empty space, black holes. V'ha'aretz, and the earth. When it says that God created the heavens and the earth, it means that He created everything in the heavens, et ha'aretz. This includes everything that is in the earth, all of the species and all of the molecules and all the atoms and the organic and the non-organic things, the elements, atoms, interactions, all the laws of physics. Everything was created on this first day. Says the Rebbe, at first glance, this sentence is unnecessary. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Afterwards, afterwards explains the creation of the heavens and all the creations, b'derech prat, and in an individual way, like it says afterwards. It says God made a firmament. It says in the beginning there was water. God divided between the upper waters and the lower waters. Then it says Vayikra l'rakia shamayim. God called this firmament, He called it the heavens. Then afterwards it says Tad she'aretz. As soon as God made the third day, He created the plants. Imke, and if so, mahu makdim techila hatchalas abriya oya shamayim v'aretz. Why does He have to have this sentence that in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth? Everything was created on the first day. Et hashamayim v'et ha'aretz. Everything was created on the first day. So why make the details seem? It makes it appear that it wasn't the first day. Everything was created on the other days. And not only that, either one of these two things is unnecessary. Either say that in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth, and maybe say God created the heavens and the earth in 7 days. That's it, 6 days. Why, if you're going to make the details afterwards, so why then leave out the generality in the beginning? Right? Leave out the generality. Say, in the beginning there was just water. God made a firmament. Then after that He made the upper waters, and the firmament He called the heavens. Then on the ground He made everything come together. On the lower waters, everything came together. And He put on that. Or why it started off with in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth? Why? What's in the, must be coming? God must be coming to tell us something. Now we have to remember, the Torah is written by God. The Torah is written by God. The Torah is not written by human beings that are very inspired. It's not written by human beings that find some sort of a Bible in the middle of a desert or something. God, it was given directly by God to the Jewish people. The whole entire thing. Even the beginning of the creation. All the stories. V'gam halo techilas abriya, in the beginning of the creation, it says there was water. Kamosha Pirish Rashi, like Rashi explains on the pasuk, Breshis bora Elokim, that there was upper waters and there was lower waters. V'gam imo yasa kavana al pia zeh, al pirish zeh pashut bilavad, haya omer, it should have said, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Why does it use this word bereshit? It should have said batchila in the beginning. In the very beginning, there was the heavens and the earth. The word tchila. This word, Bereshit, is a very unusual word. Bereshit. It should have said bitchila in the beginning, batchala. The word for beginning is the word tchila. Not the word Bereshit. Bereshit is a very unusual word. Right? Why use this word? The word for beginning is tchila. Here, like for instance, he's going to bring a lot of examples. Omer betchila bora Elokim et hashamayim v'dor. It's like it says, Ad hamakom asher haya sham ohalo betchila. It says that he went to the place where his tent was in the beginning. Abraham went to the place where his tent was in the beginning. And in the Shvatim, in the tribes, it also says, Al davar kesef hashav v'amtachato batchila, with the story with Yosef. Because even it says, Yoradnu betchila lishbor ochel. It says that we went down in the beginning, betchila in the beginning, same thing with the Yosef and his brother. So it comes out that the word for beginning should be tchila. The Torah should start off with bitchila. Hakshem korat hashmayim borat hashmayim. Why does it say Bereshit? Very strange word. V'nimsa ki milashon hakatuv, from the language what it says, lomar al hektem lashon tchila. When it says Kenan, the first thing it usually uses the word tchila. All these examples we brought, the word tchila means the earliest thing is tchila, first. Why does it say over here Bereshit? So we have two questions. Question number one, why does God use the word over here, use the term the heavens and the earth, when afterwards God explains exactly what the creations are in a detailed way? The beginning it says God created the heavens and the earth, et hashamayim ve'et ha'oretz. And that includes all the heavens and all the earth and all the details. Right? If so, it's unnecessary to go and detail it afterwards and say what God created. So in the first day it already was there. And if we want to say that that no, God wanted to detail it afterwards, so just write the details. What do you have to write the general thing before? Every word of the Torah is very exact. Why make a general statement, God created the heavens and the earth, and then afterwards make a detailed statement of what he created, the heavens and the earth? Why do it that way?
Isn't there another way of translating this first sentence? In the beginning of the creating of the heavens and the earth. And then that sets up laying out.
The most recent translation of the Chumash by the Jewish Publication Society begins when God began to create.
Yeah.
That's what Rashi says, something like that. Right. But the simple meaning is very difficult to understand. It says Bereshis. The simple meaning of Bereshis means is in the beginning. Simple meaning. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth.
But doesn't it mean in the beginning, wouldn't it be Bereshona?
It could have been used another language, but the word Bereshit, that's the only way you can sort of translate it, unless you want to interpret it. You have to interpret it differently. Right? The word Reshit is usually connected to something else. That's what he brings out. Reshit Chachma, Reshit, right? The beginning of this. So the Reshit doesn't, so it should have said Bereshit Briat. Oh, that it should have said. Bereshit Briat, right? Bereshit Briat Shamayim V'Oretz. No, as what? That's the sentence. Bereshit Bora Elokim et Shamayim V'Oretz. Bereshit Bora, the whole sentence doesn't make sense. The whole sentence is not grammatically meaningful. You have to make an interpretation. You have to have a midrash. You have to have some sort of an understanding why normal, if a person would say or talk like that in normal Hebrew, at any time, even ancient biblical Hebrew, you wouldn't know what he was talking about. Right? Breshit Bora. If you want to say, it should say Breshit Briat Elokim et Hashemayim v'et ha'oretz. That's what it should say. Right? And then that would be the title. Breshit Briat Elokim et Hashemayim. The beginning of the creation, the beginning of God's creating the heavens and the earth. And then it is the details. That's the generality. That's the details. But it doesn't say that. That's not what it says simply. Huh? If you look and see, the meaning has to be interpreted some way except for its normal sense. Because if not, the word, that's like the Rebbe said, if you wanted to say, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth, it should say Techila. Right? Or Reshit Briat, the beginning of the creation of. But it says Bereshis, in the beginning. Bor Elokim, God created the heavens and the earth. Huh? That's a simple meaning.
Well, in the beginning, beginning doesn't necessarily mean first day. This whole week, the whole 6 days, 7 days is all the beginning.
Okay, then again, you have, in other words, a general title.
Yeah.
That's a general title, and then, because afterwards it explains what happens on each and every day. Right? So if so, the first sentence is really not necessary. It's just a title. What does God have to make titles? There's nowhere else He makes titles.
Great title.
Huh?
Great title.
It is, but there's nowhere else. Nowhere else in the Torah does He make it.
You
right?
Tell God what to do.
No, but God is giving us the Torah to understand. That's why God is giving the Torah. Right? The whole thing makes no sense. All the other religions, first of all the other religions are much more successful than Judaism is. We have a tremendous, a very small number of Jewish people really believe in everything that it says in the Torah.
Yeah, but we've done it for so long.
True, it's lasted for a long time. That's right. Maybe it's lasted for so long because you can say it lasted for so long because nobody understands what's talking about. So it's very, right? They've been trying to figure it out.
Some pretty smart people.
Okay, so why has it lasted so long, really? I mean, it really, if you look at the Bible and read the Bible, it's not that interesting a book when it really comes down to it. You know, there's not really Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. They didn't do it really.
Best stories I ever read.
They didn't. Why is it?
I've watched thousands of movies. I've read thousands of books.
Nah.
There's no stories better than the basic stories in Bereshit.
If you would make a story, it's impossible to make an interesting movie out of the Book of Bereshit unless you add some stuff in it, right?
The second best writer is Hemingway, and no one's ever made a good movie out of one of his books. The good stories, they can't make stories. I don't know why, but
I don't. Let's not go into that. Let's just go into the simple meaning. Abraham did not do anything spectacular. Nothing. What did he do? Think about it.
Tied up Yitzchak and was going to slaughter.
No, that's spectacular. Who would do a thing like that?
That's spectacular.
That's not. Why is it spectacular? It's insane. It is simple.
It seems.
It seems
Insane, but it's not. It's
really
amazing. It's all about Hashem.
Stopping him.
What?
Stopping him is the...
Same thing. Yitzchak. What did Yitzchak do? He went and he dug wells. He did this. Biblical stories are miracles. A person does something amazing, does something incredible. Here he circumcises himself. He gets a child at 100 years old. It's so amazing, right? Maybe you could figure out some way to build up the tension or something like this. The Rebbe was not in favor of making biblical movies, any biblical movies. Why? Because the main thing that's happening is the people themselves, right? The people themselves. By looking at a person who is a tzaddik, a righteous person, you get a certain influence. By seeing what the person did, you have a movie. Who do you see? You see Charlton Heston. Charlton Heston does not have the same, right? Even though he might be a better actor, but he certainly does not have the same inner effect that one of the, that Moses, Havdil, would have. The same thing, right? The Torah in general itself is not really a very interesting. Maybe if you want to talk about the going out of Egypt. Oh, this is a little bit different. They had the movie of going out of Egypt, and they had the plagues.
Joseph's brothers throwing him in the pit.
Yeah, I mean, those are. It says that anybody who makes a play about that something bad happens to them, because it's a very embarrassing story in Judaism. I don't know if it's as embarrassing as Abraham taking his son to kill him. I think that's more horrendous, and I want to call it unpopular. That's why God told him to do it. The most counterproductive story there could possibly be in the Torah. Except that it says that the real point of it says that Abraham did what God said with joy. Not just that he did what God said. That you cannot portray in a movie. Because his joy was inner joy.
I'm not suggesting that somebody may do with the movies out of the Torah. Because I agree with you, and I agree with the Rebbe's. They can't.
Right. Something inside is going on.
Is too
But nevertheless,
yes,
the Torah was given to the Jewish people to understand what God expects of us. But it was given to the Jewish people directly from God. That's the point of the story, which is totally unlike any of the other Bibles and stories and whatever it is, Baba Mises, that all the other religions are based on. And they're based on it very successfully because the other Bibles of the other nations, they fit the psychological needs of these people. And the people, right, need something and they want something. So therefore all of them go and they worship, Buddha or Vishnu or whatever these guys worship. I don't know if it's permissible even to say those words. Because it's idolatry really. But people like that because it gives them something. They receive something. The Torah doesn't do that. The Torah gives us a direction how we can give to Hashem. How we can serve God in this world. Forget that Torah doesn't even mention heaven and hell. The whole 5 books of Moses, the meat and bones of a religion is heaven and hell. Right? And here the Torah doesn't even mention it. Judaism believes in it. Certainly we do believe in such a thing. But it's totally not stressed. It's totally not right sold in the Torah. It's not even a point of reference anyway, Do this, you're going to get punished, do that. The punishments are very mundane punishments. You get the rain in its time. So here we have the story. It's coming to teach us, every lesson is coming to teach us a very deep, and if you want to call it difficult, lesson on how to serve the creator of the universe, which eventually the whole world will do. They won't do it the same way as the Jews will, but eventually the whole entire world will turn to the creator because the creator is creating everything all the time.
They'll bow and acknowledge Hashem.
That's what we say in Aleinu 3 times a day. The whole entire world will acknowledge that there's God who's creating them. Right? It's a pretty good message. That everybody is meaningful and everybody is important and that everybody is indispensable. Very wonderful lesson. Let's go. If so, why does God start the Torah off with this strange word which is called Bereshis? And why does he have in the beginning of the Torah, right on the first line, that God created the heavens and the earth, including everything in the heavens and in the earth? And then afterwards he details everything afterwards. The first sentence seems to be totally unnecessary. Okay. Umipenei ma, the first word in the line is tchila. At least that's how it is in my, yes. Mipenei ma, why? Ne'amar kan, does it say over here, lashon bereshit? Why does it use this word bereshit? Bereshit. I don't think this word bereshit is used anywhere else in the Torah. The word reshit is, but bereshit. Ella kavana hi, the intention is shekorim yitziras kol anivroim, before everything was created. Misaper, the Torah tells us, mihithavut ha'atzilut, how the world was created, the world of Atzilut. What's this world of Atzilut? The world of Atzilut is a world which is a higher dimension of reality than our world. Higher dimension of reality. Not what God wants, but it's a higher dimension of reality. Let's say, maybe take an example, if you could go into Beethoven's mind and see the workings of how he thought of his, Ninth Symphony or something. Right? In his mind, how it is in his mind, in its essence. Right? Does that make any sense? Not so much. But nevertheless, it must have been there. It must have been in his mind before it came out. It didn't just, woke up one morning and came out. A monkey couldn't have done it. That it just happened to be some scribbles on a piece of paper. It must have been some sort of a plan in his mind how this thing came out. And so it is really basically with almost everything. Everything that's a creation has a plan to it. So it's the same type of a thing. The plan of the world before it is made, that's another name for that is Atzilut. It's much more complicated than that, but Atzilut. Generally speaking, it says that there's 4 worlds. It says the 4 worlds, these 4 worlds are 4 dimensions. The highest dimension, the most inclusive, is the world of Atzilut. And below that, a lower dimension is the world of Bria. And then a little bit lower is called Yetzirah. And lower than that is this physical world, Asiya. Physical world. The whole purpose of this whole spiritual creation is this physical world. But there is nevertheless a spiritual plan. Okay, Herschel? V'zeu omru, that's what it says, Bereshit. Bereshit means Bechinat Chachma. This is the level of Chachma, which the home of Chachma is in Atzilut. What is Chachma and what is Atzilut and what's going on? God has a personality. God has a personality. God has one of the basic messages of Kabbalah, of the Shimon Bar Yochai and the Zohar and the Arizal and the Baal Shem Tov made a very big point of this, is that God has a personality. God reacts to what we do. God reacts. We do, God reacts. God has arms, God has eyes, God has a mouth, He spoke, God has a mouth. But of course this is ridiculous. God does not have eyes and does not have a mouth. God is infinite. But it says in the Torah clearly that we are made in God's image. So God must have an image. But God has no image. God is infinite. He has no image. So what's the answer? So the answer is that there's what's called God's 10 Sfirot. And this is also talked about in the book Sefer Yetzirah. And then this talks about the 10 Sfirot, that those are the connections between the connection. How God, if you want to call, manifests Himself in the world. Very basic thing before we're starting off with this. Let's just have a short preface, right? According to Judaism, this world is limited. It's only like 6,000 years the world will be, and that's it. So maybe somebody can say, and pretty logically you can say, well, there'll be this cycle of 6,000, and then afterwards, maybe there'll be other creation, another world, and God will do it again, and just keep going around, and God will do it again, right? In other words, this world is sort of really not that insignificant. It's like a book. When like a book, it's a book of this round, this cycle. But there were other cycles, and there were other creations, and there were other worlds, and other, orders, and.
We could say this week. We don't know what happens next week.
Okay, yeah, but then this week happens to be 1,000 years, right? 6,000 years, and then next week's a whole new story.
That's Shabbos.
Yeah. Okay. So comes along the Baal Shem Tov and this and explains to us that it's totally not so. Totally not so. Before this world was created, there was no time. After this world, right, there also won't be any time. It's not that we're existing within this framework of infinite time, and we just took 6,000 years out of it, and there's going to be another 6,000, another 6,000. No. It's impossible for us to understand. Okay, Herschel? It's impossible for us to understand. But when a person does a commandment, when a person does what God wants, that's totally above time. It's totally real. It's above years and days, which makes this world infinitely real. There will never be another giving of the Torah. The Torah was only given once. It'll never be given again. There's only one Torah. There's only one Jewish people. It's not going to be there's going to be another time, there's going to be another era, and there were other eras, and there were other times, and there were the eons, or whatever you want to call it. It's not such a thing. What we do now is infinitely important. Infinitely important. It never was, and it'll never be again. Right? Within this whole cycle of 6,000, there's reincarnations, etc. But that's only in order that people will be able to totally serve the creator of the universe. There was never such a thing, and there will never be such a thing again. There's never going to be another Torah, never going to be another Jewish people, never going to be another world. It won't happen. It's not going to be. Why not? Because this world is infinitely real. And that's the point that people are trying to avoid. Right? People are trying to avoid. The world is infinitely real. Everything we do in the world is infinitely real. All these things, television and movies and politics and all this stuff, right? As far as it affects the Jewish people, as far as it affects God, then it has an importance. If it doesn't affect God, doesn't affect the Jewish people, it's absolutely nothing, right? It's absolutely meaningless, totally meaningless. Nebuchadnezzar, there were these mighty kings that ruled the whole entire world, right? They make Trump and Putin, these people, like nothing. Rule the whole world, right? And now they're just gone, there's just nothing, just a little mention where in the Bible somewhere. And that's the only real reality that there is. Of course, that's one of the important purposes of saying that this world is 6,000 years old. When it says that this year is 5,700, it means that the world was really created 5,780 years ago. Before that, there was no time. There was no time. It's not that there was 20 billion years old, and it's because it can't possibly be the world was created so short, right? There was no such thing as 20 billion years. Before 5,780 years ago, when God created the world, there was no time. There was no being. There was no world. Right? All there was pure godliness. We have no idea what this means. And that God is creating the world, He's creating an infinite world. This world is infinite. But He just doesn't seem like that. It's called Alma de Shikra. The world is a big lie. The world seems to be telling us that time and space and all these things are real. They're not really real. They're real as far as the Torah is concerned. When the seventh day comes, you have to keep Shabbat. On Shabbat, you're not allowed to light candles, right? Property, but this person's property, it really belongs to him. This person really exists. You can't hit people. You can't do, right? As far as the Torah is concerned, these things are really real. But they're infinitely real. That's the point. They're infinitely real. We have absolutely no idea, no conception what it means that we're able to do the Torah. And that's why the Torah is given to us, because everything that we're able to do it can be infinite and with infinite importance, beyond time, beyond all, right? Infinitely more real than any time or anything that we can possibly think of now. So when people do realize this, it's a whole different world. Understand? It's a whole different world. People attach themselves to what is true. People stop being so obsessed about going to heaven and going to hell and things like that. They become more interested in what's really now. Every single instant is a miracle. Is that okay, Urshel? Not good answer.
Is it okay?
If you don't agree, then maybe I can...
It's something people talk about.
We'll try it again. It's like the joke about the...
It is. So whether it's okay or...
Yeah, it is.
It is.
It's like the joke about the guy who goes up into the mountains, the child prodigy, up into the mountains for 50 years to find the truth. And finally, and every year they check up on him, and he hasn't got it. Have you got the truth yet? He's just sitting there. Finally, after 50 years, they go... Every year they go up. Finally, one year they go up and they say, he has the truth. And the newspapers from everywhere, the media... You have found the truth, yes. You've been meditating for 50 years. You were a child prodigy. You have degrees when you were 10 years old, degrees in physics and biology. And now you have thought you have the truth. Yes, I have all the truth. What is the truth? He said, after 50 years of working, truth is a fish.
A fish?
And the media said, what? A fish? Said, oh, maybe it's not a fish. The crowd doesn't agree, so, we'll change it. This is the truth. What can we do? That's what the Torah is trying to tell us. God personally is creating everybody. Everybody can be infinitely important. They are infinitely important, but only, we want to call it potential, in the world of Atzilus. And potentially. When it comes down to this physical world, it's not so simple anymore. Because when things come down to the physical world, the lower they come into the physical world, the more concealed is the truth. But the more revealed is the necessity of work. More revealed is our importance. Good? Let's continue.
1 second.
If so, Bereshit does not have a simple meaning. This word Bereshit, in the beginning, this word in the beginning is very problematic. If it really meant in the beginning, it would have used a different word, Tchila. Says the word Rebbe that really this word Bereshit is talking about this level of Atzilut, or another way of saying it is God's Chachma, wisdom. It's revealed in the world of Atzilut. Kamosha Katuv, like it says, Vayar Reshit Lo, Reshit Chachma, the beginning, the first, Va'omru Bereshit Bora. What does it mean, Bereshit Bora? We have to say that this is really two words, Bereshit. Really what God should have said, written over there, is Reshit, Bora Elokim. The beginning, Reshit, that's the level of Chachma. That's the level of Atzilus. This is the spiritual core, source, plans for this world. Reshis. Why does it say Reshis? Base Reshis. Two levels of Reshit. Chachma Ilah v'Chachma Tatoa. Upper Chachma and lower Chachma. Okay. Chachma is translated as wisdom. The 10 Sfirot. Look in the books, we'll talk about it another time. What are the 10 Sfirot of God? The 10 spheres of God's personality. Chachma is the highest of them. Sometimes the Keter is, but here it's not. Chachma is the highest of them. What does Chachma mean? Chachma in human personality. Let's take it from our personality because it says we're made in the image of God. Chachma, another word for Chachma is faith. What's above understanding? Intuition, conscience, all these things which are totally above our understanding, seemingly coming from nowhere. No, it's the telephone. Seemingly coming from nowhere, that have no source, we don't understand where they are, above comprehension. That's called Chachma. Right? To Reshit, this idea of Reshit, Inyano, Hatchala, the beginning, Hakolelet et Hahitpashtut, the general principle which contains inside of it the spreading out, Haba Acharel, afterwards, like a seed. A seed, you have an apple tree, you take a seed, you plant it in the ground, from that seed grows out this beautiful apple tree. The seed contains in it somehow or other the apple. Break the seed open, no apple, no tree, no roots, no flowers, no anything. How does it contain inside of it? It contains inside of it some sort of a spiritual way, inside of the seed. The seed itself has no taste, it has no size, it has no smell, it has no color.
It has the potential.
It has the potential. That's this level of Chachma. The level of Chachma is potential reality, if you want to call it. Something like a person, right, his conscience bothers him. Where does his conscience come from? Conscience. It's like Chachma. It's all of a sudden he has this feeling. But no, that's the wrong thing to do. Why is it the wrong thing to do? I don't know, it's the wrong thing to do. Right? Feels it's wrong. Even higher than that, faith. He has faith in God. God will help me. I have faith. Why do you have faith? Where did you learn this thing from? I don't know. I just have faith. I have a sense that there's such a thing as God and I believe in Him. I have a sense that this thing is wrong. I'm not going to do it. Of course, this sense can be this sense of conscience and intuition and things. This can be confused, also, right? In communist Russia, you felt your conscience bothered you if you didn't turn your parents in, if they had money in the mattress. Right? You didn't turn your mother and father to be killed. Your conscience bothered you. So conscience can be also, how do you say, perverted. But nevertheless, there is the conscience, pure conscience itself, pure chachma, pure faith. This aspect which is above understanding, this is called chachma. Well, God also has chachma. God also has this aspect of the beginning, essential, before He made any creation. This level of chachma is reshit. This is called reshit. This is called the primal beginning of mochin, of intellect. V'sfirat malchut And then there is what's called the aspect of God's Malchut. God's Malchut. Malchut is the lowest of the 10 Sefirot. This is God's creative power, so to speak, to make something below Him, outside of Him. Shehi Dibur Elyon. This is God's upper speech. He's Reshis Lamidos. This is the beginning of God's emotions. Excuse me. The aspect of God's Malchut. This is the beginning of everything that's below godliness. So in this case, the Rebbe is saying, godliness is like pure intellect, pure awareness, chachma, coming out into the world like the 6 days of creation. Why is it 6? Because that corresponds to the 6 emotions of God. What connects between the intellect of God, chachma, and the emotions? It's this aspect which is called malchut. Malchut, the lowest aspect of chachma, the lowest aspect of the intellect. This is what comes and makes the emotions, the 6 days of creation. That's what it means. Bereshit, to Reshit, were there before God created the world. The plans of creation and the potential of bringing it out to reality. The plans of creation, that's pure chachma. The ability to bring it out into the reality, that's called malchut, or sometimes it's called lower chachma. Right? Why is it called lower chachma? Why? Because it has the ability to bring these plans, right? Or let's say in human personality, the ability to bring out your conscience, your faith, your intuitions into reality. Right? How often we see that people are inspired. They're inspired to do something and they don't do it. Oh, tomorrow I'm going to go and I'm going to jog. Tomorrow I'm going to be healthy. Tomorrow I'm going to take music lessons. Tomorrow I'm going to learn Torah. Tomorrow I will. Right? And what happens tomorrow? He says, yes, tomorrow I will learn. What happens the next day, tomorrow? Tomorrow I will. And he keeps this whole life with his inspiration and intellect, right? And faith. And conscience. Right? His conscience is always bothering him. It says, Rashoyim Maleim Charatot. Says evil people are sinners. They're filled with regrets. Their conscience bothers this level of chachma, the upper chachma, but the lower chachma never comes out. It doesn't come out into reality. Says the Rebbe, that was what was created in the first day. And the first day of creation, the beginning, before it even started, the creation was created with this, what's called this upper chachma, namely the general plan for the whole entire creation, heavens and earth, and the lower chachma, the ability to bring it out into actuality. The ability to actually bring it from potential to real. As we'll talk about more, God willing, tomorrow.